Are you okay, buddy? Come on, let's go.
How you doing?
Good.
Shit.
Great to see you.
Hey, my babies are back.
Great to see you. So excited.
Shit, this is where they started from.
Right.
Yeah, right here in the mountains.
This was the place where we started.
This was the place they started.
This is awesome.
Wow. Around the world and back, huh?
And they look as beautiful as the first day, don't they?
Ah, they're amazing.
Should we get into the car?
Yeah, let's get into the car. Yes, let's go. You won't believe how much time we spent in this car. I use these cars. I love driving them. I'm just an honest ambassador because I trust the car, and it's always brought me back home. We took the G-Classes and went through Namibia, then across the pole, and then we did the G-Classes through New Zealand, and then we sailed up to Australia, and then the G-Classes through Australia. Then sailed up to Singapore, and the G-Classes through Asia, and then over the North Pole, and now they're back. You know, it's like
they really did the whole trip around the world together.
Yeah, they did the whole trip. The idea of the pole to pole expedition was like, I want to receive it was possible to do a circumnavigation of the world, but crossing two poles, that's never been done.
When did you start with the whole thing? 2016.
2016 we started from here.
From
and
here.
Then we drove down with the G-Classes to Monaco where the boat was.
Okay.
And then we left the G-Classes there. While they were sent to Africa, we sailed to Africa.
You sailed to Africa.
And then we met the G-Classes in Namibia, and then I did that expedition on the skeleton coast of Namibia.
The skeleton coast?
Yeah, that's the most uninhabited place in the world.
In the world?
Yeah. You've got the lions coming over, you've got the elephants and the giraffe. No sign of buildings or anything, just the most amazing sand dunes and
awesome.
And that harshness of Africa with that beauty, the sun and the dunes and the ocean. And on high tide, the ocean comes right against the dunes, and then that makes it so dangerous because you can drive on the beaches, and then all of a sudden, with the tide just rises and rises and rises, and then the beach disappears, and you have to be able to have an amazing four-wheel drive to go up the dunes, drive like this. Otherwise, your car will be taken away by the waves and the ocean. The other cars can't go there. You need four-wheel drives to get to drive on the beach.
Okay.
You know, and that's what made it so interesting.
Yeah.
Once we knew that now the ice was breaking up, we left to sail from South Africa to Antarctica, and that put me in a little bit of a problem because that meant that I would be trying to cross Antarctica not in the summer season, but towards the end of the summer when winter starts coming back, and nobody kind of travels across Antarctica in the winter because of the
polar night.
The polar night and the temperatures being too cold.
Okay.
And that was the big challenge of this expedition. I wanted to sail in and sail out. So we were the first ever expedition to sail in, make it right across the Antarctic continent and sail out. The excitement of crossing Antarctica was not only the fact that I could ski across Antarctica, but that I was getting there on my own means.
Yeah.
And the route that I was going to do was a route that no man has ever walked. In Antarctica, I crossed Antarctica alone. So
really?
it was it was a solo crossing of Antarctica. and that's the greatness of life, is that when you survive the experiences, you have more knowledge, and you have more experience to be able to take it to the next level. But what's amazing about life is that you become older, and I love becoming older, because the older I become, it means that the more experience I have.
Yes.
And that allows me to see wider and to do more. We then I crossed New Zealand with the G-Classes, because we stopped in the most southern point of New Zealand.
With the Pangaea?
With Pangaea, yeah, in a village called Bluff.
Okay.
And then from Bluff, we then got the cars, and we drove from the South Island all the way along the southern Alps. They call it the mountains, through the glaciers.
They have glaciers?
Yeah,
on New Zealand?
In New Zealand, yeah, beautiful. It's really stunning. Then put the cars on the boat and cross between the North and the South Island, and then drove through the North Island all the way to the most northern tip of New Zealand.
Okay.
And that was just the most stunning countryside that you can ever get. It is. It's beautiful. And then we jumped onto the boat again and sailed up to Sydney.
Yeah.
And from Sydney, we got the cars again, and then drove through the Simpson Desert.
Did you drive through the whole continent?
Of Australia.
Of Australia.
Yeah.
How much time did you spend on Australia?
We spent about 3 months in Australia, and then from Australia we then went to New Caledonia, the island group there, and we went to Indonesia, and we just went.
So that was the way to Asia then?
Yeah, that was the way to Singapore.
Okay. 2018. You did Laos, you did Cambodia, you did Vietnam, and you arrived in Pakistan.
Yeah, and then we climbed. Watch, we're gonna go a little bit like this.
And you climbed K2.
Yeah, and then we went to K2 and climbed K2, because it was like always a boyhood dream for me to climb K2, the most beautiful mountain in the world. Imagine you can go and climb these places that you've only read of from a boy.
Yeah.
It was like a boyhood dream for me to be able to go to these places. Then after K2, I had to sail Pangaea up to Japan to be able to cross the polar ocean. I prepared the boat in Japan, and then started the sail up all the way to the Bering Strait, to Nome, Alaska. And in Nome, Alaska, Jessica, Annika came on board the boat, and our assistant crew, to be able to go with us into the ice.
I think we reached the last station of the whole expedition, right? I think we're at the North Pole. Right?
We're at the North Pole. There's a lot to be able to know and to understand. It's not only the physical feat of crossing Antarctica, the Arctic. It's to know how to navigate, because you can't just use a compass either. You're north and south of the magnetic pole, so the compass turns in circles. You can't just read the screen of your phone or the GPS, because that freezes at -18. It's a crystal liquid, so it freezes. And these things are vital for your survival. The navigation works with snow drifts that's created by the big storms. And then you can use the stars and the time. So the moment you have the time, the stars are always at a certain time at a certain position, like the sun would be.
Okay.
And while you're going up to the North Pole, you've got one star called the Northern Star.
Yeah.
That's always above the pole. And if you're lucky enough to have good weather, then you'll be able to just walk towards that star.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've got bad weather, then you must be able to use the wind, because the wind if you know the direction from where the wind's blowing, then you can then you know in which direction you're walking. Let's say the wind's blowing from the north, you can feel the wind on your nose, you have to walk into the wind.
What was the last time you really feared dying?
No, I think that crossing the North Pole as well, walking on very thin ice, having polar bears around you in complete darkness creates a fear, and that fear is the fear of making a mistake, that you would eventually not be able to get out of that mistake or find a solution for that problem. And it's not so much a fear of dying, because when you push your limits, you have this feeling of being alive. But feeling alive means that you're close to death. And we never think of actually not making it or dying. We are basically thinking of living life to the fullest. And that's the flip side of the coin. The flip side of the coin is that to be able to really live life to the fullest, for me, means that I'm living close to death, and the moment I make a mistake is the moment that it's going to end badly for me.
Thanks a lot for sharing your story today with me, and for sharing all those insights into the whole expedition. It was really exciting listening to you. I'm really thankful for that. And it was really fun driving around with the G-Class with you.
Now you know what a G-Class is made for.
Yeah, what it's capable of.